G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you're having a good day, and with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn of the Barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user SpecialFood2936, titled, Daughter avoids me at all costs after an embarrassing encounter. How can I gain her back? I'm a 38-year-old single dad, and I'm the primary caregiver for my daughter who is 15 years old. Her mother is out of the picture and has been for a long time. I have been single-handedly taking care of my daughter since she was 3 years old. Last weekend, I caught her in a very inconvenient, very embarrassing moment. I arrived home early without informing her. She was in the living room, right across the TV, on my couch, butt naked, watching porn. I screamed with horror first, and then she followed. I ran out of the living room apologizing. She ran into her room and locked the door, and since that day, I haven't seen my daughter. Now, I'm not a strict dad. For the context, we live in a conservative Muslim country, but Islam doesn't play a role in my family or in many of her acquaintances' families. I'm open as much as I can be regarding sex, puberty, mental health, etc., but of course no one is immune from the society they live in. The taboo of sex, sexuality, and sexual desires still looms in people's minds, even if you don't believe such taboos. She doesn't talk to me. She deliberately avoids me. I try to communicate through her door, and at best I get, "I'm fine, leave me alone," as an answer. She changed her schedule so we don't bump into each other. She doesn't answer my calls. I might get 1 or 2 word text messages if I'm lucky. I don't know how to deal with this situation. I don't care what she does in her private time. I just miss my daughter. I want to spend time together again. She can be very stubborn, and I know that if I don't intervene somehow, this hide-and-seek game will last much longer. I'm open to all advice. Thank you for your interest. In the comments, Vulcan Feminist says, when I was a teenager, a similar thing happened. My dad came home early unexpectedly and found me and my boyfriend naked and having sex in the middle of the living room. It was horrible for the both of us, but honestly, what was most horrible for me was actually that my dad never mentioned it and wouldn't look at me or be in the same room as me for weeks afterwards. He avoided me like she's avoiding you. Obviously, you're at least trying, which is fantastic. I think what I would want in your daughter's position, or at least what I might have wanted from my own father way back when, is an open line of communication and reassurance. A text message seems best since she is clearly avoiding you. Maybe something like, "Hey, I know that was awful for you, and I'm sure you're feeling a lot of feelings about it. I want you to know that I'm here if you want to talk. This doesn't change anything between us. I still love you and support you just like before, and that's a completely normal thing. You have nothing to be ashamed of or to feel bad about. It's really okay." And then just follow her lead. If she doesn't respond back, go ahead and just let it go. This too shall pass. I'd also recommend inviting her out to something you can do together that would feel normal, like a movie, dinner, whatever kinds of things you two normally do together. Something where you can have a positive social interaction to help show her that the relationship really is unchanged and you can both move forward from this. OP replies, "Thank you for the perspective. I imagine getting caught with someone is much worse than caught while being alone. To be honest, I skimmed some details that make the situation much more embarrassing, like she didn't even have time to turn off the TV, so I had to do it myself. If she doesn't talk to me tonight, I will text her or write a letter, as per your suggestion. She has a tendency to punish herself if things don't work out like she imagined, and I don't want her to feel guilty for such a stupid thing." Aloof Bidoof says, "Hi. Oh dear, that was a mortifying situation for the both of you, but inevitably much worse for your daughter. The teenage years are tough and confusing, as you no doubt know. The best thing you can do in this situation is firstly, never mention it to her, and also give her time to come to you. She's not avoiding you because she's stubborn, she's avoiding you because the most embarrassing thing in the world happened, and she needs time to get over it. I really hope your relationship returns to normal soon. You seem like a great and caring dad." I don't know, I feel like finding your parents on the couch would be more embarrassing. OP replies, "She will not come to me. I know my daughter. I need to comfort her, make sure she understands that everything is okay. This is what I mean by being stubborn. Since I cannot talk to her directly, I'll write something and wait until she responds. Thank you for your good wishes. Kelly Asks Things says, Dude, I'm from a liberal country, and if this happened to me as a teenager, I would have died. Imagine how you would have reacted in her shoes. You sound like an amazing dad. If I was you, I'd send her a text message just saying that you miss her like crazy, so please come back and act like nothing ever happened, then let her sit with that and come back when she's ready. Update. I was hesitant to make an update, but I thought there might be other parents, especially single parents, who might experience a similar situation. As I expected, the situation never improved. Hide and seek continued. I wrote a letter to my daughter, as suggested in the initial post. I basically wrote that she did nothing wrong, she shouldn't be ashamed of me, and how much I missed her. I was planning to put the letter in her doorway or slide under it when she wasn't at home, but then I changed my plan. 2 days ago, during the night, I knocked on her door again and demanded to speak to her. Obviously, she tried to make me go away, but I was determined this time. I forced her to unlock her door and demanded an explanation as to why she was still avoiding me. She immediately burst into tears, and I felt awful inside. Never in my life was I this assertive to my child. I hugged her and said that it's okay. I'm not angry. You did nothing wrong. At this point, my shirt was wet with her tears and mucus. I told her that we can talk about it when she feels better in the morning, or never mention it again for the rest of our lives if she is willing to go back to our normal father-daughter relationship. The next morning, the subject never came up, but she let me braid her hair, so we're good now. I'm getting her a smaller TV, sending my couch to deep cleaning, and no more unannounced house arrivals. I will probably make fun of her 10 years later or something as payment for my suffering. Thank you for your attention and advice. I hope you found my misery useful. In the comments, Ty Moore 2 says, What a miserable experience for the both of you. However, I think your relationship will come away stronger. I'm glad it's over. I was tasked with sex education by my youngest daughter. I always base what I explain in what I would have wanted to know at that age, and of course, answers to her questions. And any dopamine-producing activity can induce some addiction, so I always advise moderation and discretion. And of course, these conversations can be slightly awkward, so it's a sense of relief to move on to different topics. Subject covered? Yep, okay, let's move to a less awkward subject. Seen any good movies? Like I tell my siblings, hopefully the kids mess up less than we did. Wait, did you actually discuss dopamine with her? Drugs, work, studies, friends, mental health, dopamine, bosses, food, health, books. A lot depends on what she wants to discuss. I travel for work, so I needed her informed to make her own decisions. The more they care about themselves, the more I try to help. I took care of my youngest sibling, and it was key to get them interested in achieving goals. Life is tough. It's easier to help those that are willing to put in the work and want the help. You are a fantastic parent. First rule of sexual exploits while in the family home, never, ever in the shared living areas. This goes for everyone, including parents. And second rule, lock the door. For real, my sister and her husband lived with my parents for a while, and at least once while they were doing the do, my dad knocked on their door, and they went for the knob without waiting. Without waiting for a response. Just knock knock, click. Thankfully, they had their door locked. Some things you never want your parents to see. She just had so much faith that no one would be coming home, lol. Completely naked in the living room, blasting porn on the big screen? My anxiety could never. I live alone and I still feel this way. Anxiety. Yeah, even living alone, it's just like, ugh. How can you do something like that? There are people, generally, in the vicinity. I get exhibitionism, especially within the confines of your own place, but dear Lord, some people just have too much confidence. Anyway, guys, what did you think of this one? Do you guys ever do the exact same as this daughter and have no shame? I'd love to know, especially if it's on your couch. Our next post is by user GetThisAss, titled, Am I the asshole for chewing out my 35 female sister, 37 female, for pressuring my daughter, 13 female, to babysit for free? When I was a teenager, my parents would have me and my siblings go along with them to events and functions with their friends and would often host family-friendly get-togethers at our place. This seemed great because it allowed me and my siblings to socialize with people our age outside of school. However, at some point when I was 12 or 13, I would notice that a lot of these parents would come and just abandon their kids. We lived on a big property, and we had goats, horses, chickens, ponds, etc., and I would notice that young kids were playing around these dangerous things without any supervision. Because of this, I felt like I had to keep an eye on them. And I'm not sure how it happened, but soon it became the norm for the same families to dump their kids on me whenever they were with my parents at one of these social functions. I spent a massive chunk of my teen years going to socials where I just became a free nanny to sometimes 5 kids at once for hours on end. I remember feeling like I couldn't say no because they were adults. I also remember feeling like the biggest loser ever. I remember seeing my older sister chatting with her friends and all sorts of cute boys, while I was cast to the side, sweaty, stressed out, and making sure these kids don't stick their fingers in electrical sockets or something. I confided in my older sister about how this was stressing me out and how I felt like I wasn't making friends because of this. But when I asked her to help me, she would just tell me that she didn't feel like it. This brings us to the 4th of July. My parents wanted a big party in their yard, and my sister has a 5-year-old. I saw her approach my daughter about 30 minutes into the party, and soon my daughter leaves her group of friends and sits with her baby cousin. More than an hour later, I find her still with her cousin, and my sister is nowhere to be found. I ask her what she's doing, and she replies that her aunt asked her to watch the niece for a bit. I wanted to talk with my sister about this and found her standing in the air-conditioned living room with a drink in her hand, laughing and talking with friends. I pulled her aside and asked why she would make my daughter babysit for free and that it was unfair to shirk responsibility onto the kid when she should be enjoying time with her friends. She responded that she wanted a break because it's hard being a single mother and she just wants to have fun today. I told her that if she couldn't handle being a single mom, then she should have kept her legs shut. I know, that's bad. Things escalated and my husband and I left early. Family members have been texting me and saying that I am an asshole. However, I feel strongly about this and believe that my daughter was being taken advantage of. My husband thinks that I should have let it happen and let our daughter figure out that for herself. So Reddit, am I the asshole? The only thing that potentially makes you an asshole is that comment, but that was to your sister and I'm sure it's not that deep. And obviously I make that assumption because it seems like you and your sister are amicable and not like at each other's necks. Whether you like it or not, and obviously you didn't like it, you were like semi-parentified by all those adults growing up, and they just kept adding to the pile of free babysitting with you, which ostracized you from friends and, socializing and having fun and being a kid. It turned you into a mini adult that wasn't being paid for their services. I know exactly how you feel in this situation, and it hurts. You feel like you're dying inside constantly, and you don't have an out. No one's there to support you and see what you're going through. Your sister should know better for what she's trying to put your daughter through, knowing what you went through, but it's obvious she doesn't care, and she won't care unless, you yell at her and you get it through her thick skull. Not the asshole. In the comments, VariousTry4624 says, not the asshole. Good for you for standing up for your daughter. Female teenage relatives should not be the automatic go-to for free or compulsory babysitting, but they are forced into that role all too often. You definitely get a Great Mum Award. I would have taken the nibbling by the hand, told the daughter to go enjoy herself, walked the kid back to her mother, and told her my daughter was done helping her for the day. Matter-of-factly, without recriminations or anger. Your language was uncalled for, so everyone sucks here, but she's worse than you. Yes, OP was absolutely in the right up until she made that comment. Had she just been an adult about it and done what you suggested, then everything would have been fine. Sister may have then just asked her mum or someone else to help for a bit. Instead, OP said something extremely cruel and essentially slut-shamed her sister. That one comment could seriously damage her relationship with her sister and also makes her look like a massively insensitive asshole to the rest of the family and anyone else who heard her say it. Stinstin555 says, I am a firm believer in not your kid, not your responsibility. OP, not the asshole. Asking kids to watch kids for free is exploitative. I personally would have said, okay, mum, since family helps family, you can take care of the kids at the next gathering. Alternatively, OP, create a family group chat before the next gathering and let everyone know that due to such a high demand for babysitting, your daughter has launched a babysitting service and charging $15 per hour payable up front. On a serious note, kids should be kids for as long as they can. Adulting is hard. They need to live as carefree as possible and enjoy their childhood before it is gone. Mood International 481 says, not the asshole. Do you know what situations you leave children to figure out themselves? Situations among their peers, not an adult family member making a request of them because they have most likely been taught to listen to that adult. This is a time and age where now they need to be taught when and where to say no. This is a teaching moment, not a throw them to the wolves moment. What is your husband thinking? I would sit your daughter down and talk with her about what she's willing and not willing to do in situations like this. For instance, is she willing to do it for compensation? And at what rate? She can set these terms. Is she willing to watch her cousin for 30 minutes to help out? Set a timer, and if your sister pulls a disappearing act, what happens? Update. Recently had a phone call with my mum since the incident. I told her that I hated the fact that my sister went behind my back to get my daughter to watch her kid for an undisclosed amount of time. A bit does not mean more than an hour, and I felt like it was exploitative, especially since she went behind my back. My mum said, it's totally normal to ask family to do that. You used to do that all the time, remember? I have no words, Lamau. I guess that just about wraps it all up. There doesn't appear to be another update from there. That is the conclusion to this situation. Obviously, if there is another update, I'll cover it in the future, but unfortunately, this is just a trash family. The mum is backing up the daughter, who is taking advantage of this child. Life is unfair. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.